Well, I mean, when you're at or near the top, as long as they were,
Yeah.
your prospect pool is going to be shallow. It's something that Pittsburgh's dealing with now, and that's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, they're building it up pretty quickly. Once Will Smith joins this team, and then whoever else they pick up from now till then, I think they're in good shape.
Speaking of Will Smith, the Sharks have 6 players right now in the World Juniors. Should we look at that tournament and how those 6 individuals do? Should we put a ton of stock into that and say, well, however this year turns out, that's what we can expect sooner than later with,
Yeah,
with
I mean,
those 6?
like it depends. Like you will see, and especially in the tournament, you'll see sometimes these really lopsided games,
Right.
or maybe a guy gets 3 goals and 2 assists against Latvia, or a guy gets 5 points against one of the lower ranked teams.
Right.
But in general, you just look at the style they're playing, and you do have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I know that that's where a lot of the scouts get a lot of their scout work done.
Right.
This tournament's seen as, best on best. I mean, you can be optimistic about guys who do well, but sometimes there's players who don't perform well in this tournament and people will just dump on them for it. And I don't agree with that at all. We've seen players who don't necessarily do well at the World Juniors that have good careers in the
Sure.
NHL.
You mentioned a multi-point game against Latvia. Maybe you were talking about Macklin Celebrini, who had 5 points, I believe, in that game. A guy with Bay Area ties. The Junior Sharks, obviously being part of it. His dad is also, I don't know if you know this, a trainer for the Golden State Warriors, our NBA team here in the Bay Area. So obviously, we're excited about the prospect. I mean, I know it takes a lot to get that opportunity to draft him, but do you see him going around into the next draft? Do you see him having anywhere near the similar hype as Connor Bedard?
No, he won't have the hype of Bedard. It'd be more like around where Lafreniere was when Lafreniere was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And this draft is interesting because it's seen that there's a few guys who might end up challenging Celebrini for that number 1 spot.
Not as clear cut this time around.
It's not as clear cut, so it might be easier. So if Mike Greer goes into the draft and says, I want Celebrini, it might be easier for him to make that happen. He's going to be, I mean, he projects to be a star in the NHL. He's not projected to have the same ceiling as Bedard,
right? But
he should still end up being a star player in the NHL, which, I mean, when you think about it, like Jack Hughes didn't have the same amount of hype as Bedard's going through this year. He still ended up being a really good player. It just took him a little bit longer to get there. That may end up being what it is with Celebrini too.
I'll take our chances on that one. I'd like to see him in teal. William Eklund, another young player I wanted to talk about, and he's probably the first fully established homegrown player of the next wave to be here, right here and now for the Sharks so far. We've already seen him evolve this year. We've seen him evolve in his short stints in the last couple seasons. Who do you see him comparable to?
Well, see, comparables are tough. I mean, he's a skilled forward. He plays a full 200-foot game. There's some physicality to his game as well. Like he does throw the occasional hit. He does shot block. I mean, when you talk about two-way forwards, you get into the Couturier level, you get into this kind of thing. So maybe there's that kind of potential there as well. Although I think offensively, he'll probably end up producing more than, say, Couturier has on average. But he projects to be a very good player. I know in his draft year, there were some who felt like he should be taken first. I know Elite Prospects was very sold on him being the best of that draft class. So he definitely has that potential. And, after a really rough start to the season, which a lot of Sharks have had, he's been much better since that first 11 games where, I don't think any of them were happy with their play.
I don't think I care if he wins the Selke or not. I just want him scoring goals.
Absolutely.
Selfishly.
Yeah. But that was all the scouting reports were on his 200-foot game. And that's important. He's a good building block. And then, you're going from there.